Okay. Hello, everyone. This time of week again, I really look forward to doing this with you, Rodine. I'm Chantal, holistic counselor here at Unfold Your Freedom. This is Rodine
Eastfeld, artist, teacher.
Artists. What was that other one? Sorry?
Artist, teacher. I was trying to think of a witty way to say, you know, the one who's always behind trying to get things going on Facebook.
That's right. The administrator, whatever you want to call it. So here we are. And today's topic, it just came to me this morning, a bit of a brainwave about why can't, what?
Sorry, see, in order to actually see comments, I change it. Like, so I click on the video. I'm not just watching it.
Oh, yes, click on it. That's right.
And then even though my volume is down, the volume comes on when you do that. And I always forget that. So,
yeah. We do it. And for me, it's just going whizzing around. So I don't know what's going on my end. So at least you can look and watch and do whatever. So I'm just letting it all go. So I'll hand that over to you. And today, as I mentioned, it came to me about why can't I create art? Because this is something I think a lot of us have, that we don't believe we are artists. Or what came to me was the word lofty. We have this lofty sensation or this lofty belief or perception of what it means to be an artist, you know, because we see these amazing arts around the world, from, you know, the international ones right down to whatever. You think, my God, how did they do that? Why can't I? I'm not an artist. Let's see. And anyone watching, do, you know, participate, because this is really important, I think. And also, it's also part of, I found, this is why we talk about this, part of being part of my healing, to realize that I'm still not quite there yet about being an artist, but how being creative has really supported me.
It's creativity is something else, and it's so unique to each of us, right? Yeah. So unique to each of us. Like, I love watching you with your watercolors, and I love seeing what you produce with your watercolors. So I find it amusing that you don't feel you're an artist, right? Because I look at your work and it's like, no, you're an artist. That's art. And yet, like I've said before, watercolor and I, not quite so much, right? So when I look at your work and I go, oh, I'd love to make it, mine wouldn't look anywhere near what yours does, right? Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that, because, you know, I just had a thought while you were saying that, is I'm wondering, and again, anyone watching this, whether it's because I haven't officially been trained, like I've not done been to art school or had an art teacher or anything like that. Yeah, I'm doing some online courses, and what I'm loving is the free flow. So what I'm going to show people is when I'm not feeling like, because having just had the depression, I didn't feel I could do much. So sometimes I just sit down and literally just, I don't know, doodle. So this is what I created yesterday, because I was listening to a podcast, and I've just learned that for me to listen to podcasts, because that's part of my personality, I need to actually do something, otherwise I don't concentrate. So I just sat down and did this. Now, this is art. This has been creative. No training was required. So why I'm sharing that is because you can do that too.
Yeah.
Or anyone can do that. It's a mindset. It's just sitting down. And yes, I have got, you know, information from some of the courses that I've done, but I just sat down and I just got a big marker pen. So that was the outline. And I just went, how am I feeling? Just went, scribble, scribble, scribble. What would a child do? Scribble, scribble, scribble. And then I just got my oil pastels out. These ones I use. And then just decided what colors I would just go. Fun. It was pure fun. And this comes from our video that we've talked about, you know, behind the scenes, about having fun. And I did.
Yeah. And it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And You know, it doesn't even have to be beautiful though, right? For you to just play around and experiment, it doesn't have to be beautiful. Or I guess what we think qualifies as beautiful, right?
Yeah,
Because there's
yeah,
so much in the process that is beautiful on its own,
that's right.
right?
And I think with beautiful would also come perfection.
Yes.
We can't stand something that's not perfect, because that might have come from childhood, from a teacher, from a parent, from whoever. Oh, I think I've talked about this before. I can always remember, I have this memory of a teacher. I was so proud of myself doing this piece of art. I was living in Switzerland. I was brought up in Switzerland, and it was a mountain, and I think I remember her saying, "Oh, that particular thing I'd done wasn't perfect or wasn't realistic or something like that," and that just shut me down forever. Rather than just saying, wow, this is great what you've done, and how could we improve this, or use just some
Yeah.
different words to keep me encouraged. Of course, that just shut me down, didn't it? I'm sure we've all had that experience somewhere in our lives with something that we've wanted to do and then have no
Mm-hmm.
longer had the courage to, or the belief.
Yeah. I'm so mindful of that. I had my grandson yesterday for a sleepover, and so this morning we came into my studio. He didn't want to really do any crafting or art yesterday, so that was fine. And then this morning I said, "Oh, I kind of figured he would." So I had bought these wood things for him to paint and decorate, and I said, "Oh, would you like to play around and make these Christmas decorations?" He's like, "Oh yeah." So I said, "Okay." And then I realized I had to run to the car for something. I come in, he's already up in the studio, and he's got his stuff out, and he's looking around for things, and it was kind of cute. Just the confidence that he had to come into my studio and start getting him set up to paint and color and stuff. And as he was working, of course, I was really aware that I want him to just create his stuff, but at the same time, I'd like to take the opportunity while he's young to teach him some technique, right? Like
Yes,
how the different brushes do different things. And
yes.
so trying to find that balance between, like, you don't want to say something or do something that's going to make him feel, or I don't want to, that's going to make him feel like he can't do it. But at the same time, you want to try and help him learn how to do it so that he can also kind of get his vision, because these were very specific. So how he can create his vision. So it's interesting, that balance between, right?
Yes, it is. And I think just as you're saying that, what came to mind was a couple of things. Number one, we do actually need a foundation to build on. It's like having a house. You need the
Yeah.
foundation. So in a way, I think what I feel I don't have is that foundation. Like you said, the understanding of the different brushes, the understanding of how
Right.
to mix, what watercolor does versus acrylics versus gouache. And the other thing, my mother was a cordon bleu chef, or she in England. And she always said you need to know the basics, the foundation,
Yeah.
then you go from there. And interestingly enough, what she got marks for, that if you made a mistake in one of what you were creating at the time, what the teacher was looking at was how you rectified it.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
so I think coming back to what you're saying is how can we teach that? So yes, get the basics, get the techniques, then build on there. Then how do you rectify? Because sometimes they'll always stay mud, let's face it, or sometimes something won't work
Yeah.
out. Cooking wise, mum, there were things that simply didn't work out. But unless you give it a go, you're not going to know. And I know we hear this again and again, and sometimes it can feel like platitudes and, oh God, here we go again. But I think it's like with anything, if you don't try, you won't know. Simple as that. And as hard
Yeah.
as that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true.
Because I found initially even doodling hard, because even my doodling had to be perfect. I mean, really, if you think about it, I laugh now, but it's actually serious. It's like, it's real. It's really, really real, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it's, but now that I've started, I'm not like you. Well, sorry, that's comparison here. So see, I've already just done that. I still find if I'm tired or when I'm not in a good space, I find it still quite hard to use art in the sense of doing something learning. So that's when I just come back to the basics of putting my watercolors together, doing something that's really simple. So at least I feel like I've done something.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be there that I explore bringing colors together I wouldn't normally use, you know?
Right.
So that's what I did yesterday on a smaller basis. Now, I don't normally like browns, but I did that yesterday as well. So I just played and, you know, just thought, okay, I'm going to put a pop of color in there.
Yeah.
No, so that's what I did, not feeling in the great frame of mind.
Yeah.
In the set, yep. So, you know, these are all the different ways you can create art. So coming back to what you're saying is, so for me, it still feels lofty when you say I'm an artist.
But you are.
Yeah, yeah. And we, again, artist over the years, and I've known this, so it's interesting. I realize you can be creative in many ways. So I get the logic. So I know I'm creative the way I dress or the way you present your food. And but somehow when it comes to actually creating art, it goes out the window.
Yeah. So why so I was thinking today too, when you had suggested why can't I make art? Why can't I create art? I also I was thinking about my report cards, right?
Yeah.
Because I almost totally forgot that we meet at 6:00, right? My time. And there I was sitting at the computer, and it just so happened I needed to kind of get up and get some water and move around, and looked at the time and went, oh, wow. But there I am in the middle of the flow of writing report cards and, you know, doing all those things. And I'm like, I love the topic, because for me, it's also, it's like when I end up out of flow, out of, you know, the doing of the art, I find I have a hard time getting back to it.
Yeah.
And so doing the report cards too, it's like, oh, it's that same process, right? You're kind of in the flow of it. Everything's moving along really nicely. You're into it. And then you have to stop. And it's like, oh,
Yep.
because I know I'm going to have to kind of work to kind of get back in there, right? And I just thought that was really interesting, because of course, you know, art, report cards, two very different things, and yet process wise, so similar.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It is. I agree. And it's interesting because, you know, with writing the memoir, I was thinking about this too, memoir versus art. And what I'm finding is that I had a really good insight yesterday when I was doing it. I'm using my art to support me through writing my memoir. Again, how to be creative, how to write creatively, because writing about your childhood and your trauma and you know, doing a deep dive into that isn't easy. I mean, I can do it now, but how do you make it that you share the reality of it, but also with a message, not a lightness, but I try to bring, not in humor, but bringing something in that, you know, brings a bit of levity so people can relate to it. So it's not just this heaviness. Now, why did I go down that? So creating art, that's right. So it's how, and I think coming back to your reports, because I was thinking about with your reports, how do you remain creative writing a comment about each child? Because I found my reports a few years ago when I was starting up my YouTube channel, and she wanted me to go back and find some photos to show where I'd been and my, you know, upbringing and that. And I found them, written in English and German, and they were all so boring, all the same. Didn't matter which country it came from. So how do you do that? How do you be creative in that?
Oh, that's a process and a half.
Yeah. And like you said, how do you keep
Yeah.
The other thing is also with different personalities, like my coach now has given me a kick up the derrière and said, right, we now need to create a plan and a structure to get the second draft done by the end of this year. And I went, oh my God, what do you mean? Because the last few years I've been rebelling against anything that's structured, because that's all to do with childhood and plan and micromanage to keep safe. So I've enjoyed the last few years. And also in business, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it that way. And if you don't, you won't have success. So I've gone the other way and I really enjoyed it. So I've just been in flow, listening to my body and those nudges, right, which has been great. So now I need to find that balance between how can I create in this structure that I actually don't want to be in, and how do I maintain that?
That's a good one.
Yeah. I know. So how can I still create in that because she said to me, now she's quite different to me, right, I want you now to look at every morning from my mornings are my best. So again, anyone watching this, let us know. Sometimes people are morning, sometimes afternoon, sometimes nights. I'm a morning person. So right, blocking my diary from 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And I've resisted. I went, yeah, I'll do that. And then I go, oh no, I can't do that anyhow. So it's interesting. You've got to work out what's right for you. But if I don't have that structure and that motivation, and it's been easy to not do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because often I thought of artists as well as this free flowing and just, they you think of the big artists and how would you describe them,
I think it's kind of that. I think it's an illusion how we imagine that they are.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
That, oh, I'm going to get up and create today. And then they knock out all these amazing things in 5 seconds and they go out for a nice dinner, right? That's not, that's not how it happens. I mean, and I think they all, think of Frida Kahlo, and I think they all just literally, that was what they did all the time, right? And that's Hemingway, didn't they say Hemingway had a set time to be writing every single day? That's he wrote from this time to this time, whether he wanted to or not.
That's right.
So I get that, and I think, oh, could I ever be like that? I know some artists too, where it's a daily thing. You too, you do yours daily. I don't create daily.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, it's like, I think there is certainly some detriment to that for me, right?
Yes and no, I think it depends. Look, I think yes and no. I think it also depends on your personality. Part of me, because my partner, says he says you need to go down regularly to make it work and to also build your confidence and build your, style and all that.
Yeah.
I get that. And I get like it's coming down. And even what he used to do was when he was having a block or didn't know, he just sit in the beautiful studio that we have. And we've got some lovely couches at the back, though I know you can't see them here. So sometimes he'd just sit. Sometimes he'd just simply come down and just sit and fall asleep. I'd hear him snore when I came in. So sometimes even just doing that can be enough, because then you still made that commitment.
Yeah, that's true.
And it could be that you reflect, it could be that you write, it could be you just sit. It could be that you just come in and clear up the space.
Yeah. And then see what happens as you're in there.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, you know, and I think, why can't I create? I really do believe it's a mental block. We can all create to some extent or other something,
Yes.
you know. And
Yeah.
I do think we use a lot of excuses: no time, too busy, no money, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I do.
Yes, so do I.
I
So do
do.
I. And that's why I'm really loving this concept of having a visual journal. This is one of them. I actually started ages ago. I'm really loving that, because even if you get a smaller one, you can take that with you. Even if you just take it with a pen or a couple of crayons or textures or something, you can take that in. And I don't quite do that, but you can just go and do it. And I'm going to start it. You just go and doodle something. You might see a lovely leaf or a lovely flower or a lovely piece of architecture or something. So I'm doing it actually through photography. So I have that many photos on my phone that I haven't looked at yet, just in case they're there. You know, so there's so many different ways you can support yourself, but I think it really boils down to, you've got to want to. You've got to want to do it. Really, really, really want to. Otherwise, you'll use any excuse not to.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm finding that with my memoir, you know, I really want to do it. But then the old stuff comes in. Will anyone want to read it? Why would you? What's the point? Yes, I'm doing it for myself to start with. I could have done it with a nom de plume. I've decided not to. I can also, my coach gave me the freedom of, you don't even have to publish it. You know, so I know all that, yet I still have to come down and create. I've still got to do it.
Yeah.
It's not just here, it's actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes. And that's what I'm bad at. Just doing it.
Yeah. Just doing it. And I think, again, everything, well, I look back at my school years, the schools that I went to, and I suppose it still is, or even in society, you have to have an outcome. You have to have a goal. You have to have something to strive for, otherwise, whatever. But sometimes I think that when it's so tight, you know, you have to have SMART goals. I don't do them anymore. It just doesn't suit my personality. And at the time, they didn't work for me because, again, trauma, old beliefs, lack of sense can really, and that stymied me from actually feeling free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And also, I was too busy trying to put all the structures in place that then I never did it. And then because it didn't work, it was like, oh, well, why bother?
Right.
Mm.
That's like me. Yeah, that wouldn't, that's like me and a to-do list.
Yes.
If I want to guarantee that I get absolutely nothing done, I would write a to-do list.
That's right.
And then you can be guaranteed that I won't get anything on the list done. But if I put that same list on sticky notes and I just put sticky notes up and leave it and then go and do things when I come back, I've often hit the things. So then I take off the sticky notes. There's something about it being linear and organized and like all together that, yeah. Shuts me down. But I could have 50 sticky notes on the wall and be totally fine with that. So that's like I'm just organized chaos, I guess, is
Well, I think another word to
am.
use. Yeah, that's right. But it's not only that, that's being creative. You've worked out a way that works for you.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I had to, because, write a to-do list.
That's exactly right. So I think, again, it's coming back to finding your way. So yes, again, have the structure. We need to be taught certain things. I get that. But we're not taught then how to make it our own, to have the confidence and the courage to fail, and the word, there is a sense, often I hear, again, this toxic positivity, there's no such thing as failure. Well, yes, sometimes there is failure. And I believe it's then what you do with it.
Yes. Well, and what the failure is in the moment too.
Yeah.
Like just thinking, failing at art, failing at making art? Or what about failing to sit down and just do it?
Yeah.
I mean, is that a failure, right? To not even sit down and do it, or to not take the risk, or like at what point is the failure, right?
It's exactly right. Exactly right. That's right.
Mm.
And I think by not doing it, because I know for me, when I really, really want to do something, then don't, and I use all the excuses, what I find then, it just plays on my mind. So it just reiterates, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure.
Mm.
You know, you're letting yourself down. You're actually letting yourself down, and you don't
Yes.
get it by not doing it.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
that's a whole different perspective and a whole different level of understanding, right?
That's right. That's right. That's
And
right.
that is very personal for every person, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also we forget that to create is play and fun. You know, again, looking back, when I was a child, we're so busy surviving and trying to keep safe or stay safe that we never had fun,
Mm.
didn't play, didn't know what it meant. So, you know, I'm finding this quite a challenge to allow myself just to play, because why not? It's not a waste of time. I'm safe now. I've never been safer in my life as I am now.
Yeah.
Yet there's that little something, you know?
Mm-hmm. That says, oh, I don't know about that.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And part of that not feeling safe could be, oh, I'll be criticized. Oh, I'll be judged. Oh, someone won't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that stops you doing
Or
it too.
nobody will buy it.
That's right. Yes, exactly right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And when you create, it is extremely personal. It is.
Yeah.
And therefore, of course, there's that huge vulnerability, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this cute little book, and I forgot to bring it down with me. It's a wonderful artist who's sharing his how to create art and let go. And he said, because again, it goes anathema to my training as a business owner. So everything should be about the client, doing this, doing that. Whereas it's starting to go to do storytelling. What he's saying is create what you love, what you want. Do it for you. Do it
Mm-hmm.
for you.
That I think that's okay. So that just pulls into when you mentioned the SMART goals. And I was thinking, well, it depends on what the goal is as a
Yes.
SMART goal, even as to whether you're going to be successful. And they often say if your goal is to make money alone, right? That won't work, because you do need to be doing it for yourself, because the energy is so different.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Just a little aside there. That was where my brain just went.
Yeah. But no, but that's all part of the conversations, because these are all the things you think about. You know, we're just having some discussions here with on the news about these big companies, and finally things are coming to the fore, and the lack of humanity and the amount the CEOs are being paid. And so it's all been about the money, the greed, the profit, of course, the shareholders, so the stakeholders. And it's just been really interesting hearing those conversations where humanity doesn't come into it. It's all about the, you know, or the clients or the people who actually make them the money to get them to where they are. You know, it's just fascinating to listen to this. And finally, it's starting to be shown how these companies are run. And it is all about money. Yes, it is all about profit and how much more can they make.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, that's going off topic too. But again, it's coming back to what you were just saying. Like, you need goals. Yes, you need to be accountable. You need all that. But where does empathy come in? Humanity come in? things
Yeah.
like that. And that's why they say, that I don't know about in Canada, but here in Australia, they've been letting go funding for arts. See, my partner used to teach on a Saturday morning, the gifted and talented at one of the schools that provide this for 7 years. Loved it. And to keep, because the children had to apply and want to be there. So they were most of the time.
Nice.
Then it was stopped because the funding stopped.
No, yeah.
And who suffered most in the pandemic? The arts. Because it's
Yeah.
not seen of as value like other things. So that's another thing why create art,
True. And yet I've kind of heard some podcasts, just some other people kind of in the spiritual world actually saying that the arts in the variety that they come in will actually, the artists will be the ones and are the ones who are kind of at the forefront of changes, right? And so that there's an important role in that, which is quite fascinating.
And I totally agree with that, but I think it's going to take a while for the society to catch up with that. And particularly right now, well, we're going through, again, I think worldwide, but here in Australia, we're going through a tough time with, prices going up.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You're going to let go of art. You're going to let go of buying, paper and pens and whatever you need to do art,
Yeah.
So, so I think it'll get there, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Personally. But I think if we keep talking about it, we keep putting it out there, we keep doing our little bit, this is all the contribution that we can bring to society. Anyone, whether it be poetry or baking cakes or, knitting, whatever it might be. I know I volunteer on a Monday afternoon at the local hospital. And recently someone came in with all these most beautiful quilts that women had made for the newborns or for the ones in premies and all that. It was just so amazing. And some of them, they knit and crochet little hats and booties. And, so again, I go on Goosey, these, again, the things that's being creative, that's being, thoughtful. That's how can you create? You can do that.
Absolutely.
So
many ways.
Yeah, there are so many ways. And it gave me such delight to be able to deliver them to the, different wards, and the delight that the nurses had receiving them, and I was only literally the messenger and the carrier, but I felt like I'd done it. It's delightful. So again, how can you do that? A beautiful flower arrangement.
Yeah.
So
all these ways.
So all these things are creative. So as always, we could carry on, I'm sure.
Yes, of course. I think.
So thank you to everyone who's been watching, listening. Always remember to comment. Let us know what you think, feel. And we look forward to seeing you this time next week. Have a great week, everyone. And thanks, Rodine, as always.
Thanks, Chantal. Bye, everybody.
Bye.